Good morning, Mr. Merinov.
Good morning.
Now, is your name Dimitri Merinov?
Yes, sir.
And do you live in the Royal Garden Apartments?
Yes, sir.
Now, that's here in Pelican Bay?
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived in Pelican Bay?
I lived here for about 10 years.
What job do you have?
I work at the United Express sorting facility.
What do you do at the sorting facility?
I sort boxes, unload trucks, typical manual labor.
Okay. Now, I notice you've got a Nelson Roofing shirt on this morning. Do you work for the roofing company as well, or is that just a shirt you?
Oh, yes, sir. It's a side job. It's my buddy's roofing company.
Okay. So you work as a roofer, and you also do some manual labor at United Express?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been working at United Express?
I've been working there probably about 2 years.
Now, have you done that since you moved into the Royal Garden Apartments?
Yes, sir.
All right. I want to talk with you, Mr. Merinov, about a particular day outside the Royal Garden Apartments, all right?
Sure thing.
Are you familiar with that area?
Yes, sir.
What's across the street from the Royal Garden Apartments?
Across the street from the apartments there is the community center.
Community center. Now, what kind of things do you guys do at the community center?
Well, I usually just go there to play basketball, work out, lift weights. They have some other, town events there.
Going back to the evening of March 21st, that afternoon, do you remember what you were doing?
Yes, sir.
What were we doing?
Well, I worked the early shift over at United Express, so I was working from 4 to noon that morning. So that afternoon, I spent most of the time sleeping up until about 5:30.
What did you do after you got up that afternoon?
Well, I was playing a basketball game at 6 o'clock, so I went over to the gym about 10 minutes early. About 5:50 I got there.
Did you play the game that night?
Yes, sir.
Now, was that on the basketball courts that were inside the community center or the courts that were outside the community center?
The courts were inside the community center.
Inside the community center. Now, Mr. Merinov, I want to show you a diagram that's been previously admitted into evidence. I want to make certain that I'm understanding properly what it is that you're telling me here. Referring to opposing counsel to Plaintiff's Exhibit 3 diagram of the community center. Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Sir, this has been previously admitted into evidence. Take a look at that. This diagram depicts the area where the community center is, where the basketball courts are. And I notice that there are basketball courts outside, and there's the community center building inside. Where were you having that first game at 6 o'clock?
Well, now taking a look at this, we were actually outside of the community center, but with inside that there's a chain link fence.
There's a chain link fence. Okay, sir. I didn't understand what you were saying.
Yeah, no, we were inside the area there.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what your question was.
All right. That's my fault. I apologize. So you're in the chained off area
Correct.
Of the basketball court.
Right.
But you're actually outside.
Yes.
So you're outside playing basketball. How long had you been playing ball?
We usually play 20-minute halves, so we were out there for about 45 minutes.
About 45 minutes. So that's around 7 o'clock?
Game ended before that, about 6:50.
If I might have that exhibit back, please, sir. Thank you very much. So the game ends around 6:50. What do you do when the game ends?
I like to stretch, talk about how the game went with my teammates, so we're just hanging out.
How many folks were in that community center area around that time of night?
Well, there were, the stragglers from the game, 6 to 8 people. And then I did notice that there were some of the neighborhood kids who had been watching the game. They were around the court. They're on the other side of the chain link fence, though. Now,
were any of those neighborhood children Ms. Washington's children?
Yes, they were.
Now, do you know those children?
Yes, I don't know them well, but I recognize them as her children.
Now, how is it that you happen to know that those children are Ms. Washington's kids?
I just see them coming in and out of Mrs. Washington's apartment. Miss Washington's apartment.
Now, She lives in Royal Garden Apartments as well, doesn't she?
Yes.
How close is her apartment to yours?
It's directly adjacent, right on the same hallway.
So you're on the same hallway, right? So you're next door neighbors?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that. So you recognize those kids?
Yes, sir.
Did you see the children leave the basketball court area?
No. I didn't see them leave. I saw them later.
You saw them later that night. We'll talk about that in just a moment, Mr. Merinov. So you see the kids watching you guys play basketball, and then you're just sort of sitting around shooting the breeze afterwards.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything that happened during that time?
Yes.
What was it?
That's when I heard two booms
Booms.
from over by the street area.
Now, when you say booms, what do you mean by that? I mean, can you compare it to a sound that you've heard before when you knew what it was?
It wasn't like a gunshot or anything.
So it's not like a car backfiring?
Closer. I mean, not quite that loud. A little more muffled
Muffled.
than a car backfiring.
All right. So you hear these two loud noises. What do?
That's when I reached for my gym bag because I have a camera phone in there. Mm-hmm. And took my camera phone out, ran over to the street.
What'd you see?
That's when I saw two cars stopped out there.
What were the cars doing?
They were stopped. One of them was a white van. Other one was a dark Asian car, like a Toyota or a Honda.
So you see a white van. Now, as you get into that area, is the van facing you or is the van going away from you?
They were going away from... They're actually both pointing in the same direction that they would be going away from me.
Okay. So you come from the basketball court. Do you look up 39th Street or down 39th Street?
I looked up 39th.
Look up 39th Street and you see these two cars.
Right.
Now, did you see the front end or the rear end of the vehicles?
I saw the sides.
The sides. What did you do when you saw those two cars?
I started filming.
And what,
It was clear they'd been in some sort of accident.
some sort of accident. And you immediately began to take photos of these vehicles.
Right.
Both vehicles.
Right.
Both the van and the car.
Right. Mostly the car, though.
What did you do with the video from those camera phones?
I can't quite remember who I gave them to.
Okay.
I know I put them, everything's electronic now. I put the video on my computer, and I can't quite remember exactly where they've been since.
After you took out the phone and began to take pictures, what happened next?
That's when I saw the Toyota. It tried to start up and leave, but you could tell it was a manual transmission.
Mm-hmm. How could you tell it was a manual transmission, Mr. Merinov?
It wasn't getting started very easily. It looked like the driver was having troubles getting into gear.
Could you see the front end of the Toyota at any time?
Yeah, I could see the front end.
How did the front end appear to you?
It looked like it was slightly damaged.
Slightly damaged in which area of the front end, Mr. Merinov?
On the corner?
In the corner. Do you remember which corner?
No, sir.
You don't. Okay. All right. Did you actually see the van or the Toyota hit anyone?
No, sir.
So you don't know who was struck or when they were struck?
Well, I know that the Washington kids were struck.
How do you know that?
Because they were clearly hurt, seriously. I don't see how else that could have happened.
Now you know Miss Washington.
Yes.
She's your neighbor.
Yes.
These were her children that were in the street.
Yes.
Did the cops show up?
Yes.
When the cops showed up, what did you do?
I hung around since I had that video, and I later gave a statement to one of them. I forgot who it was exactly.
All right. No further questions.